from Forgiven, his most played, most successful AD carry, and Maokai in reply against Stake.
Yeah, so we've seen Graves being banned a few times against Forgiven in Europe. Normally, those teams just give it to him because they know he's going to lock it in and they're trying to like swap around it maybe or get to late game instead where Graves is slightly weaker. In this case here, Yori Flash Wolves don't want to risk losing that early game, so they simply take away that Graves on their side. And Zed, we mentioned the mid lane power.
Rek'Sai
first.
Right off the bat,
right there.
absolutely drawing the LeBlanc ban, must ban, banning the Zed, a great matchup for Zed against the LeBlanc, and then SK banning the Ahri, so you have to now ban the LeBlanc, otherwise it would be first picked by SK and having a huge mismatch in the mid lane. But as a result, with the forced LeBlanc bank, now they get a free Rek'Sai.
So Rek'Sai is locked in. The question is, Yori Flash Wolves would have known this. Did they want this matchup? What do they have to counter or play against a Rek'Sai? Because you knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Karsa is going to play Lee Sin. He's not a champion we've seen him often on. I mean, Jarvan has been his go-to pick. They can go for like Jarvan, have a very strong teamfight composition where Rek'Sai often needs a bit more help to set up, you know, their engages in a fight compared to Jarvan. But I want to see the trade-off here because Caitlyn is not going to be a contested pick. When Graves is gone, Forgiven will always go for Lucian for himself. So it's not like you take anything away from the AD carry here. And this Gnar as well. Freddy has played it, but he's not been his main champion. He can go Lissandra here and have a fantastic laning phase for himself, dive onto that Caitlyn in the fights, and SK Gaming suddenly have a fantastic setup just from 2 picks.
Right off the bat with the Gnar and the Caitlyn, you know that the Flash Wolves are going to be going for a more late game teamfight oriented composition. With the Rek'Sai, they're going to be benefiting SK from the skirmishing style that they want to go. So right off the bat, the jungler is the key in accelerating the game in the tower pushing scenario, which is what SK wants. So I really disagree with letting the SK lineup have a Rek'Sai. And to be honest, a Zed LeBlanc ban, I mean, maybe they're looking for a Xerath in the mid lane. Wouldn't surprise me because there is no longer an assassin on the table for SK.
The weird thing is just how you ban Graves to take Caitlyn. Caitlyn beats Graves in the laning phase early on before they go back for the BF sword. So you could have just let him get that Graves, get the 2-on-2 lane and fast push it down. NL and SwordArt are very good at fast pushing their lane. And again, once they get a lead in the mid lane with Maple, he's the guy roaming down to the bottom lane. You take the first few auto turrets and that's how you start the game. And then obviously you aim for late game later with the Caitlyn here. It is expected, gives you a very strong laning phase. We talk about Flash Wolves, they don't want to lose early. They have obviously scouted SK Gaming, so good early picks for them. But there's the Lucian for Forgiven, and he's more than happy picking that one.
Forgiven really favors the mobile AD carries. Anything with a dash, anything can get him in and out aggressively. We're going to see Freddy playing the Hecarim. Hecarim, a champion that has not been particularly popular in Europe, but we have seen it played elsewhere in other regions. But if anybody's going to pick it up and play it effectively, it's going to be Freddy.
Yeah, I mean, Hecarim is a split-pushing monster who has fantastic TPs to use as well to join his team. So it fits right in SK Gaming's playstyle here. Win your lane, you keep pushing it down, and you just go back and get a home guards, and you just join the fight. Like, this is fantastic for SK, and they're roaming 1-3-1 style, so it's a good pick.
I think the biggest thing here has to be that the 2v2 from SK with the Ignite and Hecarim and on Rek'Sai is going to be any 2v2 that the Flash Wolves can throw at them, which is what we touched upon earlier, that they put Freddy on a really heavy carry champion, and off the bat, they're in a mismatch in the top lane. We see this Xerath going for that team fighting comp, long range with the Rengar engage, but you're making your early game extremely vulnerable with this draft.
I would have preferred a Jarvan in that scenario. What I would like to touch on, what do SK use to round out their team comp? They're lacking some magic damage with mostly, it's kind of mixed Hecarim to be fair, but a lot of physical as well as Lucian and Rek'Sai.
I've done Orianna before, or...
There we go.
Yeah,
we talked about Diana. Deficio, I know you've prepared stuff for Diana in the mid lane. Fox is pulling it out.
Oh, I expected a few teams to maybe pick it up. She got a few changes lately, and her laning phase, while it's not terrible, she's fine like 1-5 and just sitting and farming. She won't be killing the Xerath, but once she hits level 6, you are so good at setting up ganks, especially with Rek'Sai, with a TP Hecarim or just a guy roaming from the lane down to this mid lane here. They can set up so many picks in the lane. And also Diana, she fits really well with the current meta in terms of the items she builds. Like you often see Abyssal Zeptor or like Hourglass first item on mid laners, and that's right in her alley. That's what she likes to build normally. So she's become this like semi-tank bruiser AP that can really get in the backline late game. So this Xerath here, unless we see a massive disengaged support like Janna, will die in every single fight when a Hecarim Diana says, okay, there you are, kill.
Now, right off the bat, we predicted that the Flash Wolves would go for a really strong 2v2 lane. They have run it in the past. The Janna Caitlyn, it's gonna come out, Janna Caitlyn, but here's a fun fact though. The quality of life buff to Diana means that her ultimate can no longer be disjointed, so she's always going to be able to get that reset in, which means that Janna is not going to be as impactful to the Diana as we had seen previously in other patches.
So I want to see how Yori Flash Wolves will play here. Yes, they have a very strong bottom lane, but Lulu is one of the best supports level 1 to 3 in terms of her damage. So SK Gaming, what they will always do is they're gonna go down, do crooks at level 1, get the XP advantage, walk into lane and start pushing and trading with you. If they're not ready, they're gonna fall behind. And if a Caitlyn falls behind and doesn't win her laning phase, she becomes oh so useless in the mid game, where Lucian shines. Forgiven is so good at using that advantage. So it's going to be all about the bottom lane. It's going to be all about this early game here.
Now we'll see SK Gaming getting their hands on a strong draft and a Diana on the Rift in just a few when we come back with the game.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. We're about to get into our second game between SK Gaming and the Yori Flash Wolves. SK, the big favourites in this game. But what do we think, before we get into game, about the compositions that both teams have managed to pull out here?
I thought it was really interesting that we saw the Zed, Ahri, and LeBlanc fall by the Wade side, because they have been some of the most prominent champions on both of the mid laners in this series. So the Diana is an interesting reaction, but it's another very mobile, all-in-ish kind of champion that you can play, and has some split-pushing potential as well. So it will be interesting to see how this one goes. More players have been picking up Diana overall. I've noticed a trend in Korean solo queue as well.
Yeah, well, SK Gaming on the blue side this game, the Yori Flash Wolves on the red side. I'm excited about SK Gaming's comp. It's like the Lulu dream comp, man. That makes Doa excited.
Gonna be a fun one, that's for sure. I'm a little bit worried for SK Gaming in terms of confidence for this game, maybe overconfidence, but also Fox looked a little bit nervous coming out onto the stage there, and he's probably the player in this team where, you know, nRated and even Freddy at this point might be looking at them and saying, you need to chill. And, you know, Monty's pointing at my screen right now because, well, Fox forgot to buy a trinket.
Speaking of nerves, yeah, I mean, it's a big stage for him to be on, and forgetting that trinket is just one of those things that happens. So I'm sure he'll notice. There we go. There's it. Well, no, maybe he hasn't noticed.
No, I think he's probably noticed right now. And if we do talk about some of these compositions, I think the Xerath is a great pickup in this situation, at least for the laning phase, because they have that wave clear. And we know how aggressive SK likes to play. They really enjoy pushing up those lanes, and they've got the wave clear as well. Caitlyn does have a dip in the mid game in terms of power, picks it back up late. But you know, we've talked, a lot of our analysts here have talked to Clement Chu, who's one of the main analysts from the time when he's seen. And they really do like to press these lanes, the Yori Flash Wolves, and then swap the AD and support into Stake's lane. Stake typically takes a hit in terms of his CS, and that goes over just for map control and outer towers.
One other important thing when we're talking about Stake taking a hit, his magnificent afro has also taken a bit of a hit.
That's true.
He's got rid of the sides. He's only got like a top afro. I'm not sure if that's a technical hairdressing term for what's going on there.
It's like a very thick mohawk, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know if you... Maybe.
I could settle for that.
Yeah,
apparently his teammates were saying that he seems to have lost some of his power after going under the knife for that one. So we'll see how that all works out for him. We see here the starts from Freddy. Going a little bit low on the Raptors, but that won't be much of a problem. He's recalling for the first time.
And this is the typical SK lane swap right here. In fact, I'm kind of surprised Yoey didn't have a different level 1 warding strategy, because that's the dangerous thing that SK likes to do, is for Freddy to go for those Raptors. And if you have a ward right there, he becomes extremely easy to kill. We talked about Yoey saying they had prepared a lot for this match, and for me, that's a critical ward.
Well, I mean, the big thing to worry about with SK, right, is that huge pushing power that Forgiven has, and they tried to stop it. If they would have gotten a 2v2 lane, I think Caitlyn Janna would have been able to stall that one out for a long time. But like you said, Monty, it looked like SK got that lane swap that they wanted. And how fast can they push that top turret down? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, it's also the Doran's Blade start for Stake right here is a bit of a risky item, especially if the lane swap does come into play. Like it has, you have to land those autos to get the sustain off, and it's going to be really quite brutal for Stake in this environment. We do see him recalling right now. He will come back to lane, most likely with that teleport, but he can't miss out on this wave, and SwordArt will be moving in there to give him a hand.
Yep, there's the teleport. He's going to get right back up there, so at least he'll get some speed and CS out of it. But Forgiven and nRated already doing a lot of damage to that top turret, so far, whatever plan the Flash Wolves have is not really being too effective.
Or being shown, I would say, as well at this point. I mean, they've gone into standard lanes. Stake again down to half HP as he comes back in there. And see if Svenskeren gets involved on that top side, especially if they see where Karsa, which they just have, that could be a little dangerous for them. And again, just a quick blast out of Forgiven, out of nRated as well. And Stake playing a dangerous game there on that top side.
I don't even know what SwordArt is doing right now. He's just hovering around in the top side jungle. Thought he'd be going over to give Stake a hand, at least in the laning phase, but that hasn't actually happened. And now he's just walking all the way back across the map. Does drop a pink ward in the mid lane, but that was a lot of time where the support really wasn't much of a factor.
I thought maybe he was worried about a dive or something like that. But
I thought maybe they were going to try and bait a dive right there, but even so, that is just really, really risky, and Stake continues to take all of this damage, and that push going heavily in favor of SK Gaming right now. They're very comfortable playing this style. Of course, we see nRated with his top pick champion this season, and I'm surprised that it is this easy for SK.
Oh, this Fox going a little bit aggressive, maybe too much so there. Actually taking a good blast back from Maple. As we see a lot of pings going down around the middle. Rengar's also headed onto the top side of the map. So let's see if Karsa can actually get involved. Won't be spotted by a ward. Also is only level 3 at this point. Looks like he's actually just on his way up top.
Yeah, that's right, going to take those Krugs, but I think there's going to be a ton of pressure onto SwordArt in the latter parts of the game because you've got so much dive from SK. You know, how in the world are they going to keep people off of Xerath and Caitlyn?
It's going to be really, really difficult. They don't have the best peeling. Now, Karsa, of course, is known for his Rengar play, and so it is a comfort pick for him, and they need to start getting something rolling here in the early game, but keeping Maple alive is going to be a big problem. That said, it is on to Freddy to get the TP home guard engages that will help him and his team win outright here, because it's a difficult thing to do. SwordArt getting caught out a bit.
Yeah, in a little bit of trouble. Gets pushed back by Freddy, and I think he's going to be just fine with that. Yeah, NL able to get a decent amount of autos, but when you're playing Caitlyn, that's just kind of inevitable anyway.
But Svenskeren doing the right thing right here, helping push out that wave. SK is just playing for the tower advantages, and this is one of the things that SK does, is Svenskeren is not afraid to show himself in lane just to control pressure and minion waves like that. And it is a bit risky, of course. By giving that information, you do make opportunities for cross-map play from the other junglers, but in this case, by holding them at bay, they're going to get the tower on this wave.
Yep, that one goes down. First one of the game here for SK. That will put them into a decent little gold lead. No first blood as of yet. No real action when it comes to kills. If you look down some of the farms, Stake managing to keep a lead over Freddy, as you'd probably expect with you know, the fact that he does have a bit of range, at least up until his tower went down there. And this is an interesting move now from the Flash Wolves, knowing that that top tower's gone down. AD carry and support are still in that top lane. Let's go for a dragon. Yeah, they're pushing this up really aggressively right now. I'm surprised that we didn't see it, the recall coming in sooner, because right now SK has this opportunity to control. If they do have the wave pushing back, they can simply send Hecarim up to the top side and get Freddy more ahead right here and make sure that this Hecarim is consistently able to split push, because that's the big key with Hecarim, is getting that Trinity Force is so incredibly useful on that champion. Here we go.
Oh, Maple taking a lot of damage from Fox, but it doesn't look like he's able to quite get the connection he wants to for the all-in. I feel like he maybe had a chance there, but the thing is he doesn't really know where the junglers are at the moment, so it's a little bit too dangerous to go all the way in. Either way, more pushing from SK. I mean, Fox doing his part to get his damage done onto that turret. Stake again being forced back on his top side. Still having that lead over Freddy, picking himself up the chain vest there, so obviously was feeling a little bit of pressure and wanted to stay in that top side of the map a little longer, which obviously that chain vest will help out with. Svenskeren also on the bottom side of the map there, taking the crab, and nRated's heading down bottom, looking like they will be switching things up here. So Forgiven and nRated will be heading down bottom as Maple again jumped on by Fox, but he's just toying with him at this point.
I wonder what that chain vest is for, actually, if he's going to try and build an early Sunfire as a possible counterplay to Hecarim split pushing. It's a very unusual first item on a Gnar, so... But of course, with the Gnar nerfs coming in, we haven't seen much Gnar.
Yeah, I mean, in the Korea region that we normally cast, the Gnar has pretty much just gone away, and the few that have tried it have failed pretty miserably. So yeah, we'll see what Stake's got planned for this Gnar here. And yeah, an early Sunfire Cape could potentially do some damage in team fights if he's able to sort of sit on top of NL and sort of protect him from the people coming in, potentially push them away with the ult. I suppose you could arguably say that Gnar's a bit more peel, but it seems pretty awkward either way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it may be just for the split pushing. We will see what it gets built into, though. I am curious. There are, of course, more than one option to deal with this Freddy. So he starts split pushing in the mid lane.
Okay.
So Yowie actually playing this pretty defensively. Stake happy just to sit there and pick up the CS, and this is going to give SK some opportunities to get into the enemy jungle, apply the pressure elsewhere.
Yeah, that blue buff here going down quickly. Actually, TP coming in here from Stake. What can they do with this one? There's a jump in from Karsa. Fox down to half HP. Stake actually flashed upon there by Svenskeren for the knockup. Stake will get a good ulti off, and here comes the 18-0 from the side. This is looking decent for Yowie. There goes Xerath out. First blood will actually land on Karsa, and the rest of the team still pushing in. There was an ignite down that killed off Stake there in the end, but look how low SK go in this fight. Karsa's still full HP, but a little bit reluctant to push through. In the end, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of SK.
Wow, just so close at the end of that fight in terms of cleaning people up. That could have gone very badly in the end. Actually, Stakes engaged right there, coming in with the rage. Did make some sense right there, and he does actually get that Mega Gnar off at the right time. Forgiven gets onto NL on the side, and that's a nice knockback, triple stun. Forgiven with the heal and the block on the ultimate. Unfortunately for Yowie, they just don't have Xerath there. If Xerath is here, that is a very, very different fight. And one that Yowie certainly would have won after Stake set up the big ultimate.
Well, yeah, even the ultimate from Maple, too, is able to do a lot of damage. So that combined with Xerath's regular abilities might have been a little bit scarier for SK. Forgiven, though, got a nice little duel opportunity against NL, too, when he came over the wall, and that was very good, keeping Caitlyn out of the fight for most of it.
Also, trying to block right there, the Caitlyn ult was very critical to how that went down. Good use of Summoner Heal, and then flashing right out into safety as well. Impressive positioning from Forgiven for sure, but we've come to expect that from him, really.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, with Graves banned out, it makes sense to pick Lucian. It's got a lot of similar characteristics in terms of like how you can play out those fights.
A couple of wards being cleared out. Interestingly enough, SK, we heard hearing earlier on, you know, that problem that they've had with actually warding the map. Looked like they were trying to get those deeper wards in there. Started off the blue, almost went a little bit wrong for them after all. So we'll see how that one works out. But if you look at the minimap, certainly looking better for SK Gaming in terms of vision than it is for the Yowie Flash Wolves at this point. Still a minute and a half for Dragon, so Fox and Svenskeren maybe looking to get in onto that bottom lane, but there's still a tower there, so that'll prove to be a little more difficult.
Oh, can Karsa defend this? Not quite, but Freddy might be in a little bit of trouble. There's a nice slow coming in from Maple. The damage loaded on. There's the stun with the E, and that's an easy kill for the Flash Wolves. Freddy, was the pink ward worth it, man? Meanwhile, a dive going on in the bot lane. NL in trouble. Svenskeren comes in for an easy kill there with the knock-up. So SK answering 1 for 1 there.
Yeah, it was a good answer, but the thing is, SK could have made that play regardless because they knew exactly where Rengar was. Yeah. So Freddy really didn't have to die right there. I guess he thought he could maybe make it out with his ultimate into the Baron pit or something like that. But when you have no support on that side of the map and you're dealing with a champion that can become invisible like Rengar, it's so risky to go ahead and clear out those wards when you know he's coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Fox doesn't know he's coming in. Oh, bowler will miss, but the ultimate should be good. This might be enough damage. The second bowler did land there, and Karsa is able to pick himself up his 3rd kill. But SK Gaming, their reply to that is to push out and take that bottom tower.
Typical SK reply, just go for the towers, go for the pressure every single time. And the thing about Rengar is, yes, we do see Karsa stacking up those kills in the early game, but he really does fall off pretty hard late. You have to be able to find flanks for him to initiate these team fights, and he may not offer the peel that's necessary, but we do see the downsides to Diana. She's a pretty binary champion. She only goes in and like attacks. There's not a lot of subtlety to her play, and she is very vulnerable in that laning phase, and one of the most prone champions to get ganked on, unless you can somehow like lunar rush to your Raptors if they happen to be up. It's one of the few ways you can actually get out of that situation.
Yeah, very true. Dragon's back up again, and it looks like for now, the Flash Wolves have a bit more vision. SK trying to push back and grab a bit more territory themselves. And it looks like they'll be able to. They're going to start that Dragon right away. Wow, all of the Yowie Flash Wolves are right there. This seems a little bit dangerous. The damage from Maple's going to be scary, but it looks like SK, are they going to get this Dragon? They will, but now they might have to fight Stake. He's not in Mega Gnar anytime soon. And whoa, what an ult coming in from Freddy. Can SK capitalize? There's a good ult in response from SwordArt. SK is going to have to back away. SwordArt really saving the day there on that one.
The damage just isn't there yet from Yowie. I'm actually very surprised they went for that Dragon play in the first place. They already got that first Dragon in the game. It is unnecessary at this point in time to go for any more, especially when you have free farm up in the top lane, or maybe even pushing down the top lane tier 1. You can send that resource up there. Janna, Caitlyn are great at fast pushing. Yowie Flash Wolves know how to fast push. You take towers right now, give up the drag.
Yeah, absolutely. Try to push up that mid lane just a bit, but SK was able to respond and be there. And so, despite that little bit of a gold lead for SK, I think the big story here is just getting those early turrets, equalizing that Dragon.
Yeah, I'm playing no real difference to what we expected and what you'd imagine Yowie also expected from this one. So
yeah,
we'll see how their plan kind of develops from this point onwards. Maple just getting himself a full wave, is ahead currently of Fox in terms of CS, but that kill for Fox will obviously be working in his favor. Actually, their gold is pretty much bang even. There's about 5 gold that Maple has extra over the top of Fox at this point. So Yowie again, 3 men in mid. They've got Caitlyn down the bottom lane, but again, they're going to have to, at some point in the very near future, deal with Freddy, who's already pushing on towards that inner turret.
Yeah, he's getting close to that Trinity Force as well. And if we look, this Caitlyn is in a huge power drop right now. Yeah. She is not going to be relevant for another 10 to 15 minutes at this stage. And the only thing she's going to be able to do is push towers. And we still see her playing so far back in the lane that you really have a difficult time playing a defensive game against SK like this. This is exactly the scenario that they want. We have the 1-3-1 split push right here. In fact, SK has a lot of versatility in how they develop their split push. Not only do they have Rek'Sai, who can split push very effectively and instantly join team fights with the Void Rush, they have the teleport. Hey, Diana can split push too, and then Lucian and Lulu will be able to clear out those waves. So SK is getting everything they want this game. They are not uncomfortable in the least, and you can't let them play this way because they dominate with this style. It's weird for the current meta. It does have its flaws. It is exploitable. And here we go.
Karsa coming in on the nRated. That combined with the Xerath ult is almost enough. They force the ultimate out of nRated. Meanwhile, the culling pushes back SwordArt and the rest of the Flash Wolves. So for now, no more action in the river, but Freddy pushed out of the top lane by Stake for now. He's going to be able to defend his turret a little bit. But you really have to wonder how this game would look if the OA Flash Wolves had gotten the 2v2 like they wanted, had been able to use that Caitlyn to push back the Lucian Lulu.
Yeah, I mean, SK intentionally avoiding that situation, though, because they played the map better early, and Svenskeren was there to prevent the minion waves from pushing down that turret and getting that fast pressure off. And even though, really, Caitlyn, Janna having that fast push advantage, the way Svenskeren played the map was significantly better early on to prevent that from happening. And SK playing the fast push game better, even though they have, I think, a less ideal duo lane for that in the early game.
There's a ward for Karsa on the top side. You were right, by the way, with the Sunfire Cape choice there for Stake, picking that one up. Trinity Force, though, has now been done for Freddy on his last recall. He's just trotting back up into that top lane. And will continue to do what's been working out so well for them up until this point. Of course, Abyssal Scepter done for Fox in the mid lane quite a while ago, as was the Morel and Omicron for Maple. The big difference there, obviously, again, you look at the AD carries. I mean, NL deciding to stick in the Avarice Blade there in between the, rather than just rushing straight out to finish off that Infinity Edge. On the other side, Forgiven already got his Infinity Edge and an Avarice Blade as well, with both on those tier 2 boots.
Well, NL, you kind of wonder what the plan is here, because he's kind of like, well, maybe I'll just get the static shift and push. It's like, oh, maybe I'll get the Infinity Edge and then I can teamfight. But he's kind of done a little bit of both. And like you mentioned earlier, Monty, this is just going to make this Caitlyn kind of a liability for most of the game. Svenskeren taking a lot of poke as he tries to come in here.
Well, the thought right now for NL is that he's behind. He knows he's behind on farm. He needs to get an Avarice Blade because, yes, it puts him in a bigger power trough now, but if they can hold on to the remaining turrets, their wave clear is good, especially because of the Sunfire Cape that will at least hold the minion wave and hold Freddy off the turret in the top lane. So I think in general, the itemization, given their circumstances, is fine. But if you only want to win this, they're going to have to take this to 45 minutes, and then they will be able to outscale. And one of the things we always talk about with SK, it's said time and time again, these are guys that don't really ward well. We've seen a lot of lapses in intelligent trinket usage with SK, upgrading them late, holding on to Doran's items instead of swapping them out for wards as you hit the mid and late game. And SK is reliant on a teleport Hecarim engage. When you play Hecarim, you need to be able to use the home guards to maximize the damage. And without wards, you can't TP, as we see Karsa go in.
Yeah, that's right. Forgiven manages to get away. One more hit. It misses, and Forgiven should be okay. A little bit of pressure coming in, but it's all about the dragon right now as the Flash Wolves move into river. Maple trying to zone as they take a little bit more vision control. This would be the second dragon for whatever team ends up getting it. Right now, Flash Wolves in position.
Yeah, this could be dangerous, so Svenskeren can just tunnel on through, flash out, all the way around, depending on how he wants to do it, to have a go at that dragon. You can see that 4 versus 5, basically. Now the TP is going to be coming in from this one. Dragon already down to half HP. Can the Flash Wolves actually take this one away? No, it goes over to SK Gaming, and the fight is on. SwordArt will throw down the Monsoon, and SK, knowing that this is a 4 versus 5, surely going to escape it there as Fox will get 1 kill. Forgiven will join in with that one, and they get the dragon and they get a kill. 4 versus 5.
Man, Svenskeren just like walked up and just took it. It was pretty easy looking for him, and Freddy, despite the lack of home guards, was able to get in, get a good engage, and they're just rotating right to the mid lane, taking the turret. I feel like SK is playing this very smart. They didn't pursue that team fight that they didn't need to have. Able to make a lot out of that.
Yeah, Yoey had every chance to just instantly start the dragon right there. Yes, they are behind, but they did already do the work by chunking out Forgiven in that fight. You can front load damage with the Caitlyn ultimate and with the Xerath ultimate and immediately turn onto the dragon, and then instead they wait for SK to approach them. They didn't even secure the crab. In fact, they kind of chased the crab right back into SK right there instead of pushing it further down the river. which would have given them a lot better opportunities. So I think Yoi not very clearly thinking about how they can set up these objectives, and it does make it difficult. If Yoi wants to last out this game and they want to get that poke in, just use your ults if you can to just make them scared to even walk in next to you. And we did see a little bit of that right there, but the timing that they created, they made a window for themselves and then immediately didn't use it.
Yeah, and the fact that Forgiven was able to walk back to mid lane, recall, and join for the end of the fight just shows you how long they kind of dallied around there and didn't really make things work for them. Stake here, just trying to poke down a bit of damage.
You know, I think a big part of this too is Stake's not really been able to hit those Gnar timings that you really need to hit. He came into that last fight with absolutely none of his bar filled up, and we just saw him die extremely fast because all he really has is that Ninja Tabby and the Sunfire Cape.
Well, he's 50%, and it's hard to get Gnar this way. He did have a great teleport earlier on if Maple had been there, but for every time we see the Flash Wolves try and make a play, they just seem like they're not all quite on the same page. Yeah. We may see a gank coming up in the top side. Svenskeren is going to suss this out, though, with that Tremor sense. He's not going to know SwordArt is there.
Oh, knock up and no follow-up. They're a little bit worried. nRated is right there as well. Stake had that Mega Gnar. Neither team really wanting to engage too much. Freddy getting sunnier. There we go. Karsa back on the Svenskeren. The ult comes in from Caitlyn as well. They're going to lock him up. And now can Maple finish him off? It looks like he can. And meanwhile, Freddy coming in from behind. Karsa in a little bit of trouble there. Stake trying to get away. The heal from SwordArt will save him though. Yoi slowly turning this one around.
Yeah, that Monsoon keeping him alive there. Stake going so close to actually dropping him. No, that was more like it. You were talking about front-loading the damage rather than saving it to try and finish people off. And they throw in the ace in the hole. The Xerath ultimate comes out there as well, and they're able to pick up a kill. Yeah,
it was a near turnaround because the damage is still so low. On the Flash Wolves overall. They are playing that more late game composition, but now starting to kick in a little bit here. There's the Void Rush though, and culling means it's going to be very difficult to take this turret, and SK will hold on in the mid lane. Still a very large gold deficit.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how this one finishes off. And yeah, I mean, that Gnar is going to get more tanky, and yeah, I mean, the Xerath is going to be more damage dealing, and of course the IE done for a while now for NL. But I feel like we're going to see this fight where Caitlyn is just going to get completely run over by everybody on SK. You know it's coming. SwordArt knows it's coming, and he's got to be ready for it as SK pushes up this mid lane.
I'd frankly be more scared if I was Maple.
Oh, that too.
He's the one with the giant crosshair on his back right now. And SK looks like they are just going to back off, so more pressure at least for the moment. And of course, Fox dangerously close to that Zhonya's Hourglass, and that's really where the diving in the back line can begin right here. It's going to be a huge power spike for this team, able to easily take out Maple with no real threat. NL's traps this game have actually been doing a lot of work. We've seen him trap a lot of people in these team fights, or at least prevent follow-up engages with them. Saw it in the last fight as well onto Fox.
And true enough. SK pulling it back and playing it a little bit more passive now. Some wards up in the top lane. But Yoi Flash Wolves have a decent amount as well, too.
One thing SK is going to have trouble with is closing out this game, because beyond their fast push, yes, they have a split push, but they have to split push with this composition. They don't have a ranged mid laner. They're running a ton of melee champions out of the solo lanes in the jungle. And so Forgiven's really going to be the only one who's dealing damage to turrets in this situation. He just went back and picked up a QSS as well. So definitely worried about the potential of the Gnar ultimate coming in and knocking him out of the fight. I think that's a smart buy right now.
Yeah, definitely. Svenskeren a little bit harassed as he moves back into the jungle there.
Yeah, I mean, Randuin's on him. Probably not going to be too worried about that one. Did take a little bit of damage on the way through. We also have next Dragon coming up here in 33 seconds. And you see there the fight over the wards inside of that Death Brush, and that'll be the Yoi Flash Wolves that pick that one up, but quick scan will help things out for SK. They've also got a pink ward in that mid brush, but a little bit scared, I think, of pushing too close to it to take that one down in Svenskeren, knowing that Xerath could be over the other side. They will put a ward over, though, to see that the Flash Wolves have backed away, and that with 8 seconds to go, it means that SK Gaming can push up a little bit, get some further vision out there, and start off this Dragon. That's a nice little ward around the corner, though. The pink won't be in quite a range to see that. So the Flash Wolves can see Dragon going on. Stake's not there. TP's available, though.
He's coming in.
That's right, he's going to give it a try. There's a teleport. The Dragon does still go to SK. Oh, NL takes a lot of damage right away. And SwordArt again trying to use that ult to disengage. Meanwhile, Karsa comes back in again and going to get blown up. And there's a kill actually for Freddy. But Forgiven, able to do work. So yet again, we see a Dragon and a couple kills for SK. Yoi Flash Wolves, all these Dragon fights have felt very half-hearted. They're like, oh, we kind of need to do something, but we really can't.
Stake had the wave pushed up to the tier 1 and top and was in his exhausted phase, so he couldn't even get Gnar Fury coming into that fight.
Yeah.
Yoi had no business attempting to contest that Dragon under those conditions when they simply could have dealt damage to the top lane turret instead.
Oh.
Stake's teleports have been really hit or miss this game, and it doesn't look like the communication is really there at all to even say what kind of state Gnar is in and if he's capable of fighting in the least.
Yeah. And he didn't even try to fight. That was the thing. He TP'd in and then tried to walk away. It ends up dying. Could have at least taken, or, you know, the outer turret done damage to it at least, but questionable decision there maybe from the Yoi Flash Wolves, especially considering they've given up the position in the first place on the Dragon. So interesting choice. Yeah, probably one that's going to cost them as well.
Yeah, they're just tunneling on this Dragon right now when they could be trying at least to close this gold gap a little, but they're playing SK's game through and through. And this has been the entire story of this game so far, is SK had got the lane swap and the tempo has been theirs this entire time. It's been purely reactive play from Yoi, and it does look like they're panicking a bit in terms of SK's strategy. It's just, it's unusual to play against, and that's the thing when you play against a team like SK. You can say, okay, we watched all the VODs of this, but there's no one who really plays like them, so knowing what's coming and then having that in-game feel for it are two very different things, because you're not going to find practice partners that really play like SK Gaming anywhere.
That's a really good point. A lot of the preparation to play against SK has to be more mental. If you're a team like Yoi Flash Wolves, you know, you don't really get a lot of that feeling that you get in the game. Looks like we've got a little bit of an issue.
Unless you find a practice partner and you say, can you play like SK?
That's true, yeah. Can you just be like SK? Like, oh yeah, sure, no problem, easy. I don't think it quite works like that.
No.
Yeah, we'll get this sorted out ASAP and then back into the game again. But, you know, this one isn't quite as one-sided as the first game we saw tonight, but it is still looking pretty convincing for one of our two teams here in Game 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it was as one-sided, we'd be about 30 seconds away from the game being over right now. But still SK only with that outer ring of turrets down. And that, again, it's their composition. They can sit here and comfortably split push, keep pressure on, and then repeatedly take Dragon until they can dive. And that's probably what they're going to do. If they can get the tower damage, it's kind of a bonus. But as long as they can keep their ward line forward, as long as they can keep the waves right at the tier 2s, every time the Dragon spawns, they'll be back there with the advantage easily. Now, what surprises me a little bit here is Freddy did not buy Home Guard yet, which is a really late upgrade when we talk about Hecarims from other regions around the world. That's usually a very quick pickup on the enchant, and we haven't seen great TP play from Freddy, generally speaking, over the course of this season. That really isn't something that is his strong suit. He uses TP a lot to get back into lane or in the lane swap scenarios, and it doesn't really follow well. But the thing is, I feel that you should not be playing Hecarim if you can't get a good home guard engage, because that is his strength right there. So I think against a better opponent that's better skilled in terms of dealing with this split push or setting up, maybe not committing to these team fights that are a little bit difficult for Yoi to win in the first place, it may be a bigger issue. So I'm wondering if he's going to be picking this up down the stretch in this tournament, because I'm not really seeing it. Yes, the split push works, but those team fights happen. You have to be able to home guard and see it in advance. You have to be standing in your base.
One thing I will give him, though, is that he's been there before Stake when they fought almost every time. Had a couple of good ultis in there, and Stake's certainly not been able to match up with him, which is what you expect when he comes in as little, tiny, squishy Gnar and just basically gets destroyed without being able to do anything.
This Gnar, man, this has not worked out. And it kind of continues the trend of Gnars we've seen posts and nerfs. You know, he's spending a lot of time in that exhausted phase. You're just not showing up in the Mega Gnar phase. I think he's been Mega Gnar in like 1 fight so far this game.
Which he did well in as well.
He did have a very good ult in that fight.
But making that happen, you know, coordinating like that seems to be difficult enough that most top laners worldwide really have kind of given up on the Gnar for a little while.
Yeah, it was already difficult to play around, and now it's even harder. So I think that's... And we know Stake is an Aurelia player that maybe they could have counteracted this split push a little differently besides getting that Sunfire first on the Gnar. And it's just not even going to be in play right now. Also, Aurelia with the earlier power spike as well may have been able to at least create some pressure quicker in this game.
Yeah, definitely true.
That said, we still don't see any trinket upgrades except for nRated on SK. So a little bit behind, I think, in the warding game. That's been pretty common.
Can always trust the supports, man. We'll get those trinkets upgraded.
Yeah, well,
too
bad you can't pay for Freddy's upgrade as well, because that would probably help him in his little split pushing endeavor.
It's coming, right? Soon you'll just be able to like click on other players on your team and play for them. That's the support dream. It's like, yeah, we need this objective, guys. Or I just like make my AD carry dive.
Buy items for for your friends. Yeah. That'd be cool.
Gift an item to another player on your team.
nRated could have bought Fox a trinket at the start of the game.
That's true. Yeah. That's right. Hey, buddy, I see you've forgotten to get your early free trinket. Let me pick that up for you.
See?
Nice
all
guy.
Good.
Yeah.
We seem to have a bit of a problem, I think, with Forgiven right now, which hopefully should be sorted soon. He has rejoined into the game.
What happened was his like piercing murderous glare scared his computer into operating correctly. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Not sure you can say he's got a murderous glare. I think that might...
I don't know. If you're in lane against him, I think you could describe it as that.
That's how you get into the game, Joe. You have to, really channel your aggression. You
have to have that game face. We need like webcams that show the people on the other team what your face is looking at. Actually, that's a terrible idea. Let's not do that. No.
No, I don't think that one's ever going to get passed anytime soon. But guys, we are going back into game here, or actually
You sure?
We did for about 10 seconds, and now we have a pause again. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh well. You do look at Stake's hair right now, and it says value hair on his sleeve, and I feel like with only about 1/3 of his hair remaining, we are kind of getting the value version of Stake's former haircut. It's true.
I have to be honest, I did prefer his old afro. I feel like it,
Yeah.
Fit Stake.
It was
better.
magnificent. It was magnificent.
It was a mighty mane. It's true.
Impressive afro.
Yeah.
All gone now, though.
Not all gone.
Okay, the sides have gone.
All remembered.
And the top's a lot straighter. It used to be a really curly afro, but I don't know.
You can't really have just the top stick up when you have a situation like that,
Yeah.
Unless you're just going to put a lot of like mousse or something in it. Make like a giant mohawk thing. Sounds like a good plan to me.
Do you use mousse, though?
No.
Are you a mousse man?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Minnesota for a certain extent, so yet in that sense, yes, I suppose. But hair-wise, no, not so much. How about you?
No. I'm more of a natural one. Actually, the makeup lady that we have here today said that I look like I've not slept all night. That was really nice.
She told me the same thing.
She said my eyes were looking really red too. What is it? I don't know.
I think she might have been trolling us then.
Why is she trying to make us feel bad before the Intel Extreme Masters?
Yeah, I actually did turn it around. I can't just take an insult like that without giving one back and say, well, that's what we pay for you for. Come here and make us look beautiful. So.
Wow.
Well, some things can't be fixed, Joe.
When you said turn it around, I thought you meant you were going to be like, no, you look like that.
No. I'm an English gentleman, though, I could never do that.
All natural English gentleman.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yep, that's right. But you don't really know a lot about Star Wars, though, huh?
No, not particularly.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
You can feel free to talk about it. I'll just probably not have much
It's okay, the real trolling already happened last night, didn't it?
It's true, yeah. We quizzed Crumbs on it, and he did okay. He's pointing at me right now. I'm sorry.
He's getting mad that we're about to tell stories.
No, this is a good example, though, because I asked him who is Luke's father, and he thought I asked Leia. That confused him, but he knew that Luke's father was Darth Vader, so I just wanted that to be known. Looks like we're back in the game, guys. Trying to exonerate Crumbs with this lack of Star Wars knowledge. It's okay. But here we go. Yoey Flash Wolves down a bit. We'll see if they can start to bring things back against SK Gaming at a 6,000 gold deficit here. Culling activated, and here comes Svenskeren action right off the bat. The ult used by Karsa. Will he find a chance to jump in? He will onto nRated. There's the Lulu ult on herself, though. Karsa in big trouble, and even SwordArt can't save him. Meanwhile, Maple trying to finish off nRated. Didn't work out too much. The fight goes into the jungle now, and Fox in a lot of trouble. Whoa, he got out! Steak wasn't quite able to connect with that, and now Freddy chasing it. Meanwhile, another kill for Forgiven off screen, and SK is going to be satisfied with that.
Well, he mistimed actually the Gnar damage right there coming out of Zhonya's after flashing for it, so couldn't make the play in the end. Fox manages to stay alive, and this is going to be a great opportunity for SK just to move on to that Baron. There's a teleport coming in from Freddy right on the Rek'Sai tunnel.
Yeah, that's true.
Thought they might be a little bit low there, but Freddy coming in full HP. Steak's going to have to be a bit of a hero at the backside here. He's going to have NL and SwordArt coming in with him, and well, Steak's not the hero, and it won't be SwordArt either. It's going to be Forgiven that gets the double, and that is the Baron going down for SK Gaming.
Man, Steak's item build is pretty rare, but his deaths have been well done. SK.
Oh, God.
Sure.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Such a replay of that last fight.
Yeah, replay coming in, and Maple walking backwards. Of course, nRated, you can't really assassinate anyone while nRated is around with that wild growth. And beyond the ultimate, we just haven't seen a lot of Maple Xerath in these team fights. There's the dodge with the Zhonyas, and doesn't get the remaining damage. Fox able to flash out of that in the end. Maple trying to lay down some cues from the backside, but Forgiven's positioning again on point this game. And it's just such a pleasure to watch Forgiven play because he knows his limits so extremely well. And you'll very rarely see AD carries kind of absorb an ace in the hole for the rest of their team, see it coming, be able to react so decisively. He just plays so well around everything that's going on in a team fight. He's truly, truly world-class.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch on the ULCS. And looks like we're not going to get anything different here at the Intel Extreme Masters. SK trying to push this mid lane tier 2. Is there anything Yowie can do to stop this?
No.
Nope, guess not.
No, a little bit of poke from Maple, but that's about it, I think. And you know, that last fight is so chaotic, which I think this SK team and just how it's composed actually does really well. And you saw that Maple was on somehow the south side of the SK team. The rest of his teammates were up north. And if he can single out a Xerath like that, it makes it so much easier to kill. No way that he's going to escape. And look at Freddy. He might even try and loop around on this one. SK already moving in towards that inner turret in the bottom lane, but looks like Freddy's actually been headed off there by Steak, but that's going to be a big culling coming through, and Maple almost got no health left. Ooh. There is Freddy having a bit of a look, but it might just be scare tactics, and that should be another inner tower.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an easy turret. You can't risk defending that with a Hecarim ready to come over the wall with the onslaught of shadows, and it's just good positioning from SK, and they just continue to do what they've done all season long in Europe, just pushing those turrets. And here we go, Karsa coming in, trying to make a play into Svenskeren. The wild growth is going to keep him alive. SwordArt pops that out. Freddy gets into the back line. So, whoa, Steak with a big ultimate, but no real damage. Follow-up, double kill already for Forgiven.
Yeah, and Forgiven there, maybe getting a little bit too deep. Actually had to flash in the end, but no real worries for them. They managed again to take 2-0. That's about as far as SK have really got in these fights here, but it just means that they can now back off. The dragon is live, and this will be an easy pickup. The 4th dragon, actually, of the game.
Yeah, Flash Wolves getting pretty stomped at this point, it looks like.
Yeah, it just went all downhill. SK certainly in their comfort zone right here, and coming in with some new and surprising pickups, especially this Diana, but something that definitely works with their style. It does make a lot of sense if you're dealing with no Ari, no Zed, no LeBlanc on the table. Yeah. When you do have this big champion overlap with a player like Maple, and the passive scaling style that Flash Wolves have brought to the table just isn't working out for them. And I mean, if we look right now too at Forgiven's item build, he did go for the Bloodthirster and now into the Mercurial Scimitar, so delaying actually that last Whisper, but there's just not very much armor. Karsa did go for the build straight into the Spirit Visage, but it's double AD threat coming out of Hecarim and Lucian. And I mean, the Sunfire Cape just not offering as much as a Frozen Heart or Randuin's Omen in terms of getting that attack speed down and providing that additional tankiness against a constantly autoing AD carry. So he decided he didn't need the Last Whisper, has been doing great. Obviously, those 7 kills, I think it's a great item choice in this particular circumstance.
Well, the push again on here for SK Gaming. This is the final turret outside of Yoey Flash Wolf's base that's still available. Are they going to be able to hold on to it? They need to be careful of basically Freddy. That Hecarim coming in from the backside is a scary thought, but look at SK, they've moved straight over to this mid lane, and I think they're quicker than the Flash Wolves here.
Yeah, I don't think they've got a lot to worry about as far as pushing this mid lane goes. Yoey able to jump down the lane against Svenskeren there. Stop Karsa from coming in with that ult, and there's that culling pop by Forgiven immediately. And right now, all the lanes in jeopardy. Here we go, traps activated. And Fox manages to just dive in and kill NL. That was so fast. We barely even saw it. Wild Growth helping out as well. Lulu Dream Comp, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I mean, with Lucian there with them, I actually think now 5 versus 4, no Caitlyn, they might even think about pushing this one in. They could go for that inhibitor on the top side as well. A couple of them having to tank up the laser, which is probably not ideal for them. The Yoey Flash Wolves trying to do as much damage as they possibly could there, try and keep SK away whilst they're still waiting for NL to actually spawn back into the game. But I think SK are just waiting for minions to push.
Yeah, they've got so much armor at this point that just walking through the base, taking a couple shots, as long as they can maintain minion wave pressure, is absolutely fine. Forgiven, so confident in walking forward right there, not afraid of getting hit by a Bola, considering he does have the QSS.
And there goes another turret soon. Oh, Onslaught of Shadows used by Freddy. They try to get the back lines, but it's just not working for Yoey Flash Wolves. A lot of damage done to Stake. He's finally going to become Mega Gnar, but SK says, okay, we can just take the inhibitor on our way out. Fox actually dives in for a little bit more damage, and there's another knock-up. Another kill for Lucian, and SK continues to push their way into the Yoey Flash Wolves base. This one is all but over. Wow, Forgiven just killing people in the fountain now.
Not having much of a problem there, I think, Forgiven. Having to use the Scimitar to get out of a bit of danger, but not really a problem. They're going to leave just one man left alive. The Nexus turret's already down here, and SK Gaming are going to finish up the victory and move through to play the GE Tigers for a spot in the playoffs.
A very convincing game by SK there. They got what they wanted right off the bat, got the split push going. Turrets started falling, and they never stopped.
Well, and that's the challenge now. They find themselves in the winner's match in this double elimination bracket, and seeing how they move forward against GE, and I'm sure GE thought this was the likely outcome. They looked very prepared in their match against Cloud9, so will they take a different route as opposed to what we saw from the Yoey Flash Wolves, who really couldn't stop SK from playing their own game?
Well, this GE versus SK game that's going to be coming up at some point today is going to be really, really cool to see. And if anyone's going to have an answer they can execute, it's going to be GE. That's going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, it should be very interesting because GE also unused to playing against this specific style.
Very true.
And I spoke to nRated before the game, and they said that they were confident, they felt good. They think that their early game is powerful enough to start that big snowball and just push on through. And we did see some really nice play from him in that last game. Great, really on point Wild Growths, actually. And again, maintaining pressure over those lanes and using it to great effect.
And it's really great to see as well, of course, this was Europe's current #1 against the LMS's current #1. GE Tigers, of course, will now play as the Korean #1s, the European #1. So now we're getting a little bit, albeit best of 1, which obviously doesn't give you, in my opinion, the big picture of what a best of 5, of course, would. But that's, I guess, the cutthroat nature, really, of a group stage like this.
Yeah, 1 chance, and that's about it. I mean, 2 chances overall in the group, I suppose. But 1 chance against a specific team initially, and Yoey Flash Wolves, I think they clearly came into it with a plan, but just weren't able to make what they wanted to work against SK.
Yeah, and again, to point out some scores after that one, Forgiven, of course, stands out as the big one. 10-0-5. Pretty much a full item build by the end of it. And SK, we thought that Yoey Wolves, after saying they were so prepared for this one, they said that they'd actually practiced more than the Korean teams coming into this tournament, which, you know, they'll be seen as a confidence thing. I thought they might have had something ready for SK, but they let them play their own game. Either way, we're going to head over to Shox and the guys to break down that